Hey, hey guys, it's been a little bit since I've gotten on. Usually I'm doing two lives. I'm doing Facebook and I'm doing YouTube at the same time. Um, I may just single this out for YouTube and it may not be time for me to do it on Facebook, but I'm doing it on YouTube right now and I'm trying to look the best I can in this lighting in my living room and obey God. I just have to obey God. First of all, let me tell you how it started. And I have my faithful one person that watches, which is a robot, of course. I believe. I believe they have a robot that watches all these videos and records these videos. But I have one viewer. I'm not concerned with having a lot of viewers live because you can catch this even if when it's not live. I'm going to grab my phone that's been charging here on the side. It had went dead and I was watching this movie called I Am All Girls. It is a new movie on Netflix. And I know you know the title of this live is DMX TYRESE and Mary J. Blige. And I can't remember the entire title I gave it, but those three individuals I'm going to discuss in this live video. First, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I want you to like this channel, subscribe to this channel, and get more videos that I'll be doing coming up here real soon. I am a speaker, and I am a evangelist, and I am a woman of God, and I've been sent here to the earth by God, and you can think what you want to think. I know I was here before. I was in heaven before I came to this earth, just like in Jeremiah it says that before you were in your mother's womb, I knew thee. So I have an assignment from God. There are some people on this earth, I believe, that are evil. There are some people on this earth that are not evil, that can be changed into being evil. And there are some people that are assigned and sent on this earth as chosen vessels to help the lost. Does it mean that they're free from failure, free from sin, free from anything? First and foremost, I want to tell you that when Paul was chosen by God, he was killing Christians and he thought he was doing God a service. God knocked him off his horse and blinded him, and he could not see. And he had to be led about because he could not see. And God said, "How?" Jesus said to him, "Why do you persecute me, Saul?" And he said, "Who art thou, Lord? Who art thou that I'm persecuting?" And all the time he was persecuting Christians, he was persecuting Christ. Now, Saul was a murderer. And even when he got converted and they began to call him Paul, and I don't know why I'm going in this direction, but I'm going to do it anyway. And yeah, I think I am going to go live on Facebook, but I'm going to focus on my attention on my YouTube, and Facebook is just going to get the parts of it. But before, before, let's see, someone's calling me. Before, I hate when that happens, and I'm doing a live video. Before Saul began to be called Paul, um, Saul, what he did was he was persecuting Christians. I'm going live. Let me start this live video so you guys can catch me on Facebook. And I'm not going to back up. I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm going to go as God gives me the flow to go. So if you want to talk to me, you'll have to go to my YouTube channel if you're on Facebook. So I'm looking directly at my YouTube channel. So let me try to position my phone a little bit so you can hear me on Facebook. I'm not tagging anyone, but I am live right now. So anyway, when Saul was knocked off his horse because he was persecuting Christ by killing Christians, Saul converted his life and accepted Christ in his life. But even Saul, when he became Paul, as he was doing a work for God, he inquired to God about a thorn that he had in his flesh. And that thorn was something that he was struggling with. And I'm saying this because I'm going to tell you guys that are listening, this is important for you to know. there was a thorn he was struggling with, and he sought the Lord 3 times, I believe it was, 3 times about it, and asked God to remove it. Now imagine that thing you struggle with. You may struggle with marijuana. You may struggle with fornication. You may struggle with adultery. You may struggle with something. And until God removes that thing from you, are you supposed to be silent? No, your deliverance is what you do as you're coming out. When Jesus healed the lepers, they were healed as they went. Jesus said, go and show yourself to the priest, to those 10 lepers. They had leprosy. They didn't know if they were going to be healed or not. As a matter of fact, they probably had doubt in their mind and said, wow, he could have just touched us and healed us right then. But he said, go and show yourself to the priest. And as they went, they were healed. So even with the thorn in his flesh, God was healing and doing things for Paul. And Paul the apostle was preaching the gospel, and he was setting people free. And he was even parts of his cloth of his body was setting people free from demons, from demonic forces, from things. And he still had that thorn in his flesh. And I know you guys see me on Facebook. You might come in, you might comment, you might not see it right away. You might see it on a re-thing. But I'm talking about DMX, and I'm talking about Tyrese, and I'm talking about Mary J. Blige. And I'm going to get to that, and I don't want you to miss this. But I want to say to you that even with the thorn in his flesh that he was struggling with, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what you're going through, if you are called and chosen to do something for God and to say something, when God tells you to say it, you better say it. Look at this right here, these ears. God gave us ears to hear. He gave us eyes to see, and he gave us a mouth to talk. When you hear something that's wrong, and if you shut your mouth and don't say anything about it, or you see something that's wrong and you shut your mouth and don't say anything about it, or you look the other way, or you deafen your ears and act like you don't hear it and don't do anything about it, that's when we get in trouble with God. God doesn't necessarily have you on assignment 24 hours a day, but when God tells you to do something, you have to do it right then. So I'm saying to you, if you want to get the full length of this video, if you want to get this video that I'm about to talk about the industry. And I'm about to talk about sex trafficking. And I'm about to talk about Tyrese and Mary J. Blige and DMX. And those 3 in the industry, I'm not saying they're sex traffickers. They have nothing to do with that. But first of all, I was watching the movie and I had to shut it off because God spoke to me. And God said to me, I want you to get on live and I want you to use what you got. And I want you to tell the people what I'm talking about. Right now, the industry is being exposed. Right now, so many things are being exposed. Right now, the powers that be are being exposed. When I say the powers that be, I mean the people that are in position and power. Now, we've had a shift. We've had a shift with Trump leaving out, Biden coming in. And we had a shift of coronavirus coming in and the mask coming out. And we have had a shift in our lifestyle being changed, a total shift of our lifestyle being changed. And we are acting like we are being put to sleep because the churches have closed. Most of in America have gotten comfortable with looking at one person and going live. And that's why I'm here now. The churches are closed. Big buildings are not having church, but there's concerts going on. There's stores open up. There's people coming together in closer distances than even in a church. And churches are remaining closed. And churches and God's people have been given a mandate to speak his word and to go and to get out and to save souls and to win souls. And God forbid the leaders of these churches, God forbid, God is going to hold them accountable. God is going to hold them accountable. I promise he is. If they don't get people out there that are in the church to do the work that God called them, and they keep letting them people rely on them to come to them and they're not going out to do anything about it, and they have these big facilities, and there's so many facilities being used and for wicked and for wrong and for other things that are not wicked or wrong, but grocery shopping or just things. And people are going and they're having all this stuff going on, and the church is closed still, and people don't have anything to reach out to except to get on television. So we have to get on here and say something. Let me tell you something. If you have the opportunity and you have a facility for all those people to gather, and COVID is still killing people. It's not stopped. And they've got the vaccine. They got people pushing the vaccine. They got our mailboxes being flooded by Biden, telling us about the vaccine, at the same time telling us about money, just seducing spirits, just ways to seduce us to do things that they want us to do, and putting it all together in a package. And now the CDC has come out, and I'm going in a different route, but I'm telling you, I'm going to get to DMX. I'm going to get to Tyrese. I'm going to get to Mary J. Blige. I'm going to get to the industry. Trust me, I am, because I've been studying it for 4 or 5 years. I am not the kind of evangelist that you want to deal with. I'm not the kind of evangelist that you think is just a holier than thou evangelist. So you can hear me today. And I'm the kind of evangelist that's going to come to you, and I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm not a wicked person. I'm not an evil person. I'm not a jealous person. My heart is pure. My heart is pure before God. I may make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but I can tell you this. They're not sinful mistakes. They're not devious mistakes. They're not against my brother, not against my sister. They're not fornication against my flesh. They're not adultery. Everybody, nobody is perfect, but that's nothing to lean on. And I'm not saying that as no scapegoat, because a lot of preachers use that as a scapegoat. And then they'll prophesy to you and say something that they heard in the news and try to lure you in and ask for money. I'm not even on here asking you guys to give me any coins. I ain't asking you for nothing. Everything I get is from God. But God told me to get on here when I was watching Netflix, and I watched the movie and didn't even finish it. I had to stop, cut the movie off, called I Am All Girls. And they were sex trafficking children. They were stealing children from Africa in 1994. And these tapes were sealed in apartheid. And Netflix is bringing this out in a movie. And they were finding these girls being trafficked in storage bins, these bins that you sit on top of a truck and you haul out. These children, these girls were being, and boys too, probably, were being carried in these bins and sex trafficked. There is sex trafficking going on. There is industry people being set up to lure our children. There is demonic music being used to lure our children. That's why my networking group, and this is not a commercial, is to give an opportunity for entrepreneurs and artists to come and not have to sell their soul to the devil just to get their music and their gift heard. And they can come and they can be free to express themselves without anything that is going to mislead people, because I will not sign anybody that will mislead anybody. But I have artists that will sing the right type of things to get their gift out, to be able to express themselves without having to sell their souls and bow down. And let me tell you, let me get to this. If you have a voice and God has told you to talk, you better talk. If you hear something and you see something and it's not the time to speak, don't you speak. But when God tells you to speak, speak. And don't you talk and say and do something just because you see somebody else doing something. If God ain't called you to do it, you better not do it, because you'll be whooped with many stripes. It's just like the sons of Sceva when they tried to lay hands on people and do this and that, that they saw Peter and Paul and them doing. And the demons just ran them up out of there. Why? Because they were trying to imitate something that God had not given them. If God has not given you a gift and you're leading women and you're leading people because you see that somebody else is doing it and you want to have what that other person has so bad, so you want to try it, and you do all these gimmicks to try to draw things in, you better do it because you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you're trying to make money for your family, or you better do it because God called you. But don't do it for the wrong reason. Don't get on there and start imitating anybody unless God told you to. But I tell you this, if God tells you to speak and do some things and you're sitting down on that gift, woe is you. That's all I have to say is woe is you. When God stops me in my tracks and tells me to do something, I have to do it. When God tells me to tell my children something, I have to say it. When God tells me to tell the grocery store clerk she's wrong, I have to tell her she's wrong. I don't care who you are. I have to tell you the truth. Bottom line. And I'm sorry, that's just how God made me. But let me tell you, and let me get real comfortable here, because I want to talk to you about DMX. DMX, all these sacrifices, I even took notes. But I'm going to tell you something. DMX, one thing about DMX is he loved God and he served God as best he know how, even though he had a thorn in his flesh. And he sought God. God, deliver me. He said it in his songs. God, save me, change me, deliver me from this thing, this crack cocaine that keeps drawing me and keeps conquering me. But even in that, he never in his songs preached that Molly and Percocet was good. He never said crack was good. He never talked about things like that as if they were good. He even got on shows in the last couple years and said rap is not what it used to be. What rap is right now is people selling their souls, people glorifying drugs and being used by the industry to glorify these things. And he had gotten a little bit silent about that towards the end, but not so silent that he didn't open his mouth and say that these rappers are glorifying things that they shouldn't be glorifying. And the thing about DMX is he made an album. He signed with Def Jam. Instead of them putting him in rehab, even though they knew he needed rehab, they signed him. They signed him and made money off of him. Do you know that these men that are turning 50 or in their 50s that are in the industry are being sacrificed, I believe, being killed, I believe, because they are making money off of them being dead, because alive, they can't do anything with them. Let me go back to Micheal Jackson. Micheal Jackson got all his stuff from Sony Records and said what he was going to do with his stuff, was getting ready to make another album. All of a sudden, his own doctor was giving him medicine, giving him the anesthesia type medicine that took him out of this world. And it was because he would be worth more dead than alive, and he was going to be able to make his own money. But they weren't going to allow this, because money, the love of money is the root of evil, and the industry loves money. The devil loves souls, and the industry loves money. So he takes that. He takes the love of your money, and he takes this industry and he dangles it before you. And I'm just getting started, but let me finish talking. Micheal Jackson lost his life. Age, what was he? Around 50. Prince had gotten his masters, gotten his music where he was getting ready. He got possession of his own music, and all of a sudden Prince, dead in the industry, gone. Tupac, Biggie, the messages that they had in their music were messages that would teach a person something. Nipsey Hussle, messages in his music that would enlighten a person, that would cause a person to think about life. And everybody that's saved is not called to sing gospel. Everybody that's saved is not called to preach. Everybody ain't supposed to be preaching in no pulpit. And stop telling people when they get saved, they supposed to grow up being a preacher or an evangelist. That ain't everybody's job. But they're supposed to at least be able to let their heart and their light and their real light shine before men, so men can see their good works and glorify God, but not exploit their bodies, exploit their mouth with lyrics that will tell you that things are good when you know good and well they're not good for people, glorifying drugs, when you know that we struggle with these type of things, but you glorify it, and they're taking our youth. So I'm watching this movie from Netflix called I Am All Girls. And they are sex trafficking little girls. They're stealing them in Africa. They're doing it right now. When I went to Nigeria these last two times, in September last year and in this year to Nigeria, God gave me a message. And I preached in Nigeria for 2 messages, but I didn't get a chance to touch on the message that God gave me. But I was able to meet and talk and see the children and see how susceptible they are to being snatched or taken. And I just want to say to you guys, watch your children. Keep an eye on your children. I don't care if they're 5 or they're 25. Watch your children. See signs. Use your eyes. Use your ears. Use what God gave you to be sensitive to your children, and be ready to tell them the truth no matter what it is. Be ready to speak the truth to them. So I'm saying to you, DMX, he struggled with crack cocaine for a long time, and they knew that. They got him to make that album. You know who was on that album? Jay-Z is on that album. He got Nas on that album. He got Lil Wayne on that album. There's a score of people that are on that album that were at his funeral, and they didn't like him. They didn't necessarily like him because a lot of those people have sold out in the industry for fame, for fortune, for money. But it's not just that. It's because they don't have a support system or anybody that is going to stand up and put some institutions together, some record labels together that will not steal these artists' money and set these artists up to just take from them where they have to bow down or live a different lifestyle. They live a flashy lifestyle in front of us. But I tell you what, most of the time they have just that house on a hill and all that jewelry and somebody that's controlling their finances. I've seen contracts because I'm dealing with the music industry right now. I've seen contracts where people have those contracts set up and they don't have anything written in there that the artist is getting, except for that they'll provide this for the artist and this and this and this, like they're the artist's mama or daddy, but they don't have no substance to provide for themselves. So they have to work and work and work, and they have to do these things whether they like it or not. Let's go to Cardi B, because I'm going to get to Tyrese and I'm going to get to Mary J. Blige, and I'm also going to get to Jay-Z. I'm going to get in the industry because God right now is exposing so many things in this land today, in this world today. God is taking the cover off of the devil. And if you don't see the devil, it's your own fault, because the cover is completely coming off. And Satan is showing himself. He's that bold right now. And he's trying to take as many souls as he can to hell with him. So God is taking and exposing the devil so he can't hide. He's exposing the devil in this presidency. Trump and Biden. I don't believe in either one of them. Trump, he said the virus was something that wasn't as bad as it was supposed to be. He exposed some stuff, and then he flipped the script and he bought into the company that was selling the vaccines, and he kind of lightened up on things. So I had no confidence in him. And Biden, he's just the puppet to just push the virus. So you guys, you Democrats, yes, I said Democrats, you've gotten him in the office, and all I have to do is keep on opening my mailbox and getting Biden mail, where he is influencing us with money and all these incentives, $1,400 stimulus and this, that, and the other. And at the same token, he's saying, and the vaccine is out. So take advantage of the vaccine. Stay out my mailbox, Biden. And I'm getting all kind of phone calls and emails flooding. We're getting flooded. I wish Trump was president just for that reason, so I wouldn't get all kind of email, text messages and mail from all this powers that be puppeteering stuff to try to push this vaccine on us. The same people that are talking about depopulizing the earth are the same people that created the vaccine. Now, why would you take a vaccine from somebody that has been has promoted a depopulation agenda for years, and now he's behind putting all this money into every pharmaceutical company and supporting the vaccine. And you're taking it, and people are having effects from the vaccine, and there's all kind of information. Anything else somebody gives you, if you're smoking weed, you're going to make sure you roll it and nobody else is rolling your weed, so you'll make sure ain't nobody putting nothing in your weed. So if you're smart enough to do that, aren't you smart enough to research what kind of vaccine are you taking? What is in the vaccine? It says the things that are in the vaccine. They also sent a vaccine to Africa that said certain things that the United States would not approve the vaccine. I think France and another country would not approve it, but they sent it over to Africa. And one of the prime minister individuals, he refused it. He said, no, why would you send us a vaccine that is refused in the United States? And I'm just getting started. So anyway, I'm talking about the industry. Now, the industry is set up, and it's set up to deceive, and it's set up to make us think and believe and be lulled to sleep. So don't spend all your time just sitting up watching movies. Ask yourself, what kind of movie am I watching? Is it something that I'm going to learn something from? If you're not going to learn something from a movie, turn on your YouTube channel and get the best news, because you get real news from real people, and you'll get fake news as well, but you'll know the difference. Let me tell you something. Let me just go to Jay-Z. Let me go to Jay-Z. Before I get to Jay-Z, I want to talk to you about Tyrese. I don't know if you guys remember, but you remember where Tyrese was having issues with his baby's mama and his daughter, and his baby's mama was threatening him that he would not be able to see his daughter, and he was crying on the internet, please don't do nothing to my daughter. Now, up until then, Tyrese hadn't sold out for anything. He's doing movies after movies, Fast and Furious, so not that we know of. He hadn't sold out for anything. But after that thing on YouTube and on Instagram where he was crying, and he was crying about his baby girl, his daughter, he got married to his wife. When he married his wife, he talked about how she had her own money. I think she was probably somebody in a medical field or something, but she lived out of the country. She had her own money, and it swooped him off the scene. She actually pretty much, in my opinion, now all of this is allegedly, now in my opinion, she saved his life from the industry. Pulled him out of the industry. He began to continue to do things on Instagram, whatnot, and it stopped his money. It stopped his movies. He was crying because he said, I'm not going to be able to do any movies because you're doing this. He got blackballed from movies, everything. So this is what they do to artists in the industry. They start blackballing you and start bringing your income down, and they stop you. Now, that certain level of life that you're used to and that prestige that you're used to showing people of how you move and how you're a boss and how you're a millionaire, how you make money. And I'm going to talk about Jay-Z and P. Daddy and them and all that too. But that certain prestige that you get when you got that kind of money, well, they let you get so high. See, one thing about the devil, he's not going to get you when you're right down here, because he already got you when you're right down here, when you're strung out, or when you ain't got much. He don't have to worry about you. But when you get up there in fame, and when you get up there where you're making money, that's when he comes to try to pull the rug from under you, because then that's when he comes to tempt you to try to make you bow down. Remember when Jesus got tempted, he got up on the mountain and he told him, if you're the Son of God, make these stones bread. He said, thou shalt not live by bread alone. That's what Jesus said. He said, if you're the Son of God, throw yourself down. He said, because God said that if you dash your foot against a stone, he'll have angels to help you. He said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Then he said, well, if you're the Son of God, this. And he didn't do it until he brought Jesus on the mountaintop. That was representative of you being in a high position and a high level. And when you're in a high level and you're making good money, if money has made you, if you have not struggled to get it, if money is your love and your passion, and you don't know what it means to do without it and what it means to have it. See, that's why the Bible also says you have to learn how to be abound, how to abound with money, and how to be abased. That means how to be up and how to be down. Because at any time, you can decide to make a decision and sell out. But when you're at that highest place, the devil likes to pull the rug from under you and say to you, okay, now you have nothing. You have no fame. You have no money. Nobody's glorifying you. So what did you like? Did you like the glory? Or did you like the money? Did you like God more? Which one do you like? DMX, before he passed, he made this album. He loved God to the very end. But I noticed when I watched Drink Champs and he was talking about the album, he didn't want to talk about who was on there. He just mentioned a couple people. He didn't want to say all the names because some of them people I don't even think were really on there. I think that they added him after because Def Jam, he signed to Def Jam, because I didn't remember him saying Jay-Z. I remember him saying a couple of people, but he wasn't really trying to talk about it. You watch Drink Champs with DMX. It was on 3 months ago. 3 months to this day, DMX died. After he completed the album is called Exodus 1, I believe. I know it's called Exodus, but DMX made this album and they knew that they could make more money out of this album with him dead, because they knew he had not changed. He was not going to bow down to the devil. He was not going to bow down to the industry. So they had to get rid of him, according to me. And that's what I think. They had to get rid of him to make that money off of him. Just like Micheal Jackson, just like Prince. Just like when Bill Cosby got ready to buy all that land with Oprah and they were going in on it. And we don't hear a lot about Oprah much lately, but Bill Cosby is behind bars. But the woman that was in it with Bill Cosby, out of all those 60 or 70 women, only one was the one that they used to convict him, to give him that jail time, instead of him getting some at home, like house arrest or something. You can act like you want to and said he did all that and drugged them women and whatever. She said that was just trying to kill a legacy. See, we black people, we let these folks kill our ancestry, our legacy, any legacy we have. They come to try to kill it, so we'll never have our identity. That's why I went to Nigeria and I've got my identity. I know who I am, but that's just in the natural. But before I went to Nigeria, I knew who I was in the spirit. So me going to Nigeria, I went right in COVID. COVID was in March. I went as soon as the country opened up in September. I went in September. The country closed down the day I was going to Nigeria. The very day my flight was going to leave, Nigeria shut the country down. I went in September when it opened back up. I saw my ancestry. I saw where I come from. I have 18% Nigerian. I saw part of my ancestry and the culture. Let me tell you about Nigerians. Nigerians are proud people. They don't have government assistance. They're poor people, are not homeless, running around with signs looking like woe is me. They're walking on their canes. They're sitting out in their wheelchairs and they have smiles on their face and they love God. Those people love God. They have spirituality in their music. They have church. They believe in God. That's why God has blessed their country. That's why they have food. They have fruits. They have vegetables. They have all you can eat. Nobody is going hungry. You don't see anybody. It's hard to find a thief in Nigeria. They don't have any guns or weapons. Nigeria, where we come from, those people work 20 times harder than we do. That's where we come from. That's where our hustle come from. But we don't know that because we don't know where we come from. You know why? Because anybody that we idolize, they kill our idols. They kill Malcolm X. They kill Martin Luther King. They put Bill Cosby in jail. And the lady that played his wife, I can't remember her name offhand, but she said they're just trying to kill a legacy. She's not in on it with those women that came forward and did that. And she hasn't spoken up. Rashid, I think her name is. She hasn't said anything with those group of women. Do you know money can make a person confess and say anything? Right now, the industry is being exposed. And if you don't repent when you're getting exposed, it's okay if you're in the industry and you're being exposed. And I know a lot of you now probably are thinking about T.I. and Tiny. And yeah, they might have made some mistakes. But T.I. and Tiny have used their family. They have put on their own businesses. They have used their own music. They have hustled themselves. They call themselves the Hustle Gang. And they have their family group. So because they're not bowing down and giving in to this industry, it's everybody's time to bow down. When you get that fame and fortune, they'll try to make you eat dirt. And I just say to T.I. and Tiny, whatever mistakes you made between you and God, you repent of them mistakes, whatever it is you've done. I don't know if you've done anything or not. I don't accuse you. No man can accuse you. I can't. But I suggest to you, whatever mistakes that you've done, you just give it to God, and you don't try to manipulate your way out of it. As far as with people, with trying to pay it off, deal with it. If it brings you low, don't bow down. Don't sell out to the industry. Don't sell out. Some of these appetites that people get in Georgia and California and New York and different places in the country, they have different spirits that are over different regions. They're more sexualized spirits. There are more predatory spirits. There are different kind of witchcraft spirits in different places. There's more concentration of spirits. And if you succumb to them spirits, just know this, that there's a God that can deliver you and set you free. You don't have to bow down to the devil. You can be free. If you bow down, you can still be free. Don't let the devil tell you. The Bible says that just like the eye of a needle and the camel, that it is so hard for a rich person to get into the kingdom of God. It is hard. Yes, it is for anybody rich, because nobody wants to give up their riches. When them riches go down, these people start to sell out. But the Bible says, with God, all things are possible. I'm going to wrap this up. I got about 20 minutes and I'm going to wrap this up. Let me go from DMX to Tyrese. Tyrese, you were doing good. You were away from the industry for a little bit. You had a movie out. I saw it. It was called, possibly called Blue Bloods, where you was helping out a woman cop that you had been shot, and you got a movie role. And I don't know what other roles you've got in between then, but I do know this. You're on your way back up, and all of a sudden you just come from the limelight. You know why you come from the limelight? Because you decided, in my opinion, to sell out. It's not too late. Now that's me speaking, and I'm going to speak what I see. I saw you when you gave the birthday party for your wife, and she wasn't all into it, and you exposed it to the world, how you gave this birthday party and showed them you was being so sweet and giving her such a humble birthday party. And I looked at the birthday party and thought, wow, he really doesn't have a lot of money to do the things he used to do, but at least he's having a birthday party. But there's something wrong. The expression on his wife's face was like, this is strange. Like, things aren't going that good. Why is he giving me a birthday party? It wasn't long after that, maybe a month, 2 months, because I believe it was at the beginning of this year. I'm not sure. All of a sudden now, it said he was getting a divorce. He put it all over Instagram. I'm getting a divorce. Me and my wife are separating. Please respect our privacy. But rather than people respecting his privacy, he just let his own privacy out. And he started just talking about, hooking up. And I don't mean hooking up physically. He had a party. Now he done left his wife, and now it's, I guess, Mary J. Blige's birthday party, and that's why he's on this live. Mary J. Blige was on it. He was on it. Now, I already started to do a documentary about Mary J. Blige and her fall. Mary J. Blige lost her husband. He was unfaithful to her. He was a music executive, and He was unfaithful to her. She went down. She didn't have no endorsements, no movie deals, no nothing. She went all the way down. Then they gave Mary J. Blige an opportunity to sing either at the Oscar or the Grammy Awards. And Mary J. Blige sung a song. And if she knew the song she sung, and I don't know the name of the song, is that just means you're going to have to do a little research. And I might do a part 2 in this video. But I don't know the name of the song. But in that song, kind of like the Star Spangled Banner, kind of a song like that. But she did that opening song. Ever since that song, then she began on the rise again. But in that song, she said some words, and those words were definitely atheistic against God. But you can't tell in the song because everybody knows the song and we've all heard it. And I didn't even think nothing of it until it was pointed out to me what she sang and what that song really represented. She sang it before the Oscars. That was her time of sacrifice. That was her time of showing forth that she's selling out. Now, let me tell you something. Mary J. Blige had been on my mind because all of a sudden, then right after that, she got this role on Power. And now she's this big kingpin mother on Power. And she's got this major role. And now she's all over Instagram again. And she's got these major pictures. But she had took a dive. She had really took a dive. And lost her husband, lost her marriage, and took a dive. Whenever they catch these industry people taking a dive, then they go and they offer them something at that time. And whenever they catch them when they're high up, they pull the rug off from them and make them take a dive. And they catch them at their lowest point. And these people want their life back. And you can't fault them because they're used to that lifestyle. I know certain lifestyles that I've had, I have been used to, and then all of a sudden didn't have nothing and had to struggle to put a roof over my children's heads. And then after that, I'd had to learn how to deal with what I was used to and didn't hardly do it all correctly, but did the best I could. And when I began to start getting things again, I remember how it was when I had it before. I appreciated it, but you never know when you're going to lose something. But no matter the test, you cannot sell out. You cannot sell out to people making you feel like you're less than. You cannot sell out in the industry. And Mary J. Blige, all of a sudden, she rose. Now Tyrese rose. And I was going to do that video on Mary J. Blige, but I never did it. Then Tyrese. And then when all of a sudden, after he left his wife, I saw him hanging out with Mary J. Blige. Oh, yeah, he had Mary J. Blige and him. Now, they have these people in the industry called handlers. And as soon as a person leaves the music industry, and if you're worth a lot of money to them, they'll get a handler to go and get you and to pull you back in. It happened with Angela Jolie and Brad Pitt. It happened with Lady Gaga when she left the industry. She stopped wearing all that Lady Gaga stuff and she started singing as a natural person, took off the costumes and started refusing to do those type of things and left. Then all of a sudden they got her with that movie A Star Is Born, and they sent that handler who is known to be with pedophiles and worships witchcraft type stuff too. Yes. You can look it up, do your own homework, because that's not part of my video. But it pulled her back in, and now she's Lady Gaga again. And she doesn't look very happy. These people, they are not happy as you think they are in the industry. And the ones that are happy are fully sold out and don't care what you think happy. They're that kind of happy. But those that are chosen and realize what they're doing are miserable on the inside. And some of them get over that miserableness and say, I want to be back on top again. You watch this. After that party with Mary J. Blige, Tyrese, every time I was seeing him piping up Mary J. Blige. And then all of a sudden, not long ago on Instagram, he's on Instagram shaving his girlfriend's underparts on Instagram. Come on, Tyrese. First, now you're preaching at us, then you're shaving your girlfriend's underparts and then left your wife. All this stuff that they do just to impress the powers that be. Just selling out. That's selling out. Tyrese, you know you got a call in your life. Mary J, you got a mouthpiece on you that sings to the depths of our soul. And you know you have a call on your life. But nobody can blame you for your lifestyle that you used to. But I'm telling you, you don't have to bow down. I'm speaking to those of you in the industry, and I'm going to close with something that's going to really, really touch your heart. And this is something you can look up on YouTube. Now, let me put my glasses on because I'm going to read it to you. On YouTube, this guy named Miles B, he was a hip hop artist at around 18, 19. He was in college and he was interested in hip hop. And he said that he literally saw Jay-Z and he saw the devil and he saw hell at the same time. Now, let me tell you something. This rapper, he literally, before I did this live, I set it up to do it. And God had me get on YouTube, on TV, just to get a little information to see when Drink Champs, when DMX did the album, signed with Def Jam, did the album about 3 months ago. And now he's dead. And I looked at a little bit of Cat Williams, how he talked about the industry. And I looked at DMX and how he said they're making deals with these industries, people rubbing shoulders with them, doing the proper word for this fellatio under the table with these executives to get these deals. And because they're tired of being broke, they want money. And it's easy for them. They're selling out. Well, this young man, his name is Miles B. On his way, he said he was on his way to hell. He saw the devil in Jay-Z. You can type in Miles B and click on YouTube. And there's one of his videos that says when he was on his way to hell, he saw the devil in Jay-Z. He said he was smoking weed. He said when he was smoking his weed, he said started dancing uncontrollably and he couldn't stop himself from dancing. And he told his friends, please turn the music off. I can't stop myself from dancing. He couldn't stop himself from dancing. He said as soon as they turned the music off, he stopped dancing. And then all of a sudden, he said they turned the music back on. And one of his friends, the same thing happened to his friend. And his friend said, you know what? The same thing happened to me. I know what you mean. I can't stop myself from dancing. Turn that music off. They were listening to Fade to Black. It's the album that Jay-Z made. Jay-Z said that he had to make that album when the stars were aligned in a certain pattern. He made that album Fade to Black. He said he had never looked at the video Fade to Black by Jay-Z. He said he was going to look at Tupac Machiavelli, but he didn't. I think that's what it's called. But he had never looked at that. He was with rappers. He's on his way to fame with rappers. He said he stood on the rug while he was smoking his weed and he could see clearly. He said he wore glasses and he had 20/20 vision. And the rug began to spin and the rug became a picture. I'm repeating what he said. And you can say, yeah, he was tripping. He was buzzed. He was high. Y'all know when y'all smoke weed, when we smoke weed, we hallucinate and have seen a lot of things. And a lot of times you feel good and you're happy and that's fine and dandy because I've smoked weed myself before. So this is something that he explained that happened to him. He said the rug spin and it was a perfect painting. And he said he heard a voice say to him, if you want fame and fortune, he said, I can help you to draw this painting perfectly. And I can give you fame and give you fortune. And something on the inside of him scared him. And he said that he knew then at that moment that he was on the wrong side and that evil really existed. So he said they were listening to Jay-Z the whole time. And he said in this time they were listening to Jay-Z, he said Jay-Z was performing. And on the inside of Jay-Z, he saw a snake on the inside of Jay-Z that was turning around in Jay-Z. And it was moving its mouth real fast and speaking real fast. Really fast. Just speaking really fast. And Jay-Z began to speak and do the album Fade to Black. And he said he realized at that moment his condition. He said, then he saw Mary J. Blige. And I said, oh my God, I almost froze. I said, how am I just typed in my thing that I'm going to talk about DMX, Tyrese, and Mary J. Blige. And then he's talking about Mary J. Blige in his video. And that's the way God does with me. He confirms with me when he has me doing something that he's told me to do. And he said he saw Mary J. Blige singing. He called Mary J. Blige to sing. He said, but she was singing in a way that she hadn't sang. And maybe you can watch this video, how he made Fade to Black and what happened. He was at some kind of award show. But he said Mary J. Blige sung to Jay-Z like he was some kind of God, like she was worshiping Jay-Z. Like she was literally worshiping Jay-Z. And he said the way she sung to him was as in a way you would worship someone. He said it was the same time he remembered seeing Kanye West sing that story about Lucifer, son of the morning. And he had this worship thing that he worshiped Jay-Z. You know, Kanye West since then has turned his back on the industry a little bit and started the church thing. And I'm not getting into that. But when I saw that he said Mary J. Blige was singing, Jay-Z called her up to sing, and she was worshiping him in this song. First of all, we don't worship a man. But when he said that, and I'm smiling because all I need is confirmations from God when God tells me to do stuff. I may not be 100% perfect, and you may not like me, and I don't care. And you may not like what I'm saying, and I don't care. But I'm here because right now, God has me in music. I studied music. My children have had music class, and I know music like the back of my hand. I've been a choir director. I've been singing in choirs, and I've led sing songs in choirs, but I've never been in the secular music industry like I'm working in my business, in my nonprofit business now. I have a couple of artists that are breaking off into music. But let me tell you something. If we don't get together and form some things for our children to hear the right kind of music that is not demonic possessed, that is not Satan possessed, that they don't have to bow down to the devil just to get their voices heard. If we don't start coming together and being a part of something good, then we're going to let the devil take everybody and all things that he can to hell right with him. This young man said that he was frozen. And he said when they finally left out of there high off that weed, it was one room in the hallway that had a bright light. And he heard somebody say, there she go again. And he didn't know who they was talking about. But there was a door that had this bright light. And it was a woman in there, a young girl, that was singing like she was on a record, singing gospel. And it sounded like a recording. And he said he wanted to go in there so bad, and he got ready to knock on the door. He said his hand was like this far from the door, getting ready to knock. He was just drawn to that door after that experience. And one of them guys, he said that when they was looking in the room at Jay-Z, they said, everybody lift your hands up in the air. He said he looked to his right, and all his friends had their hands up. And he said he got ready to lift his hands up. And he said something stopped him. And he said out of his mouth to himself that there's only one God. And he didn't lift his hands up, but he saw out of the corner of his eye, all his friends had their hands up, waving to Jay-Z. And as they were leaving out of the hallway, he said in his mind, this hallway looks like we're walking straight down to hell. He saw exit sign. It was red, but he said it looked like flames of hell. In his mind, he heard himself say that to himself. And right after he said it in his mind, one of his friends said, hey, y'all, we going straight to hell, y'all. And they started laughing. He said he saw a light on the door and this woman singing. He said he got that close to getting ready to knock on that door. He was drawn into it. And one of them guys said, Miles, are you coming? As if he was angry. And he stopped knocking and went on with the guys. He said when he left and got back, he packed his stuff up and left school. Before he left school, his mom called him. It rang 3 times. He said, all you do is say, Ma. And his mom said, Boy, do you need me to come get you? If you need me to come get you, I'm coming. He didn't say another word, but Ma, she said, I'm coming to get you, and hung up the phone. That's why I say you need to watch your children, need to be aware of what they're doing. Look at Netflix. I Am All Girls, and I saw those children being sex trafficked on this movie. We need to watch our children. There are women being abducted a lot in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There are children being abducted in Africa. And there are music industry people that are selling out. Watch the rise of Tyrese. Watch how quick he rises now. He done divorced his wife. He done hooked up. I'm going to tell you one more thing that God brought to my mind that I almost forgot to mention. Drake. Drake. Every time you see somebody getting ready to go into the embassy, they always got Drake by him. And he always throwing up that, and Drake is right there. DeVito was one of them, and a couple more people is one. Drake is always there by him. I'm just mentioning that as a tidbit. That's not part of my video, but I wanted to tell you about DMX. They got these videos up saying, was he sacrificed for the music industry? Hell yeah, he was sacrificed, in my opinion. He was sacrificed. He was killed, but he glorified God in his life. It didn't matter what thorn he had in his flesh. It didn't matter what he struggled with. He still always told people about who he served. So don't let the devil fool you. Don't let the devil fool you. Whatever you're struggling in this flesh, if you live a sin-free life, if you live without hatred and jealousy, and you don't bow down and worship any other God, you give yourself to Christ. Whatever you struggle with, I don't care if you struggle with it till you die. As long as you don't bow down to the devil and sell your soul to the devil just to get what you want. And there are times, if you do sell your soul to the devil, don't think you can't come back out of it and be saved. But I'm telling you, if you get lured in there and you play with the devil too long, he's older than you. He's been around for thousands of years. Don't play with him. When God sets you free, be free. Don't play with the devil. And whatever area God sets you free in, stay free. Because if you play with something that's older than you, you're just playing. You playing with fire, and you can get burned. And I just wanted to tell you that. That's just my video. You're not going to be able to rewatch this. I'm not going to have this on Facebook. I'm going to have a little bit on it to tell you guys about looking at it on YouTube. You're going to have to subscribe to my channel. You're going to have to type in Evangelist Marilyn Gay on YouTube if you want to rewatch this. And then I suggest to you that you go and you start looking at these videos on YouTube with Mary J. Blige, DMX, Tyrese. All you got to do is confirm, Miles B. Confirm. Oh, I got 3 more minutes. I want to tell you also about P. Diddy. He had a luncheon called the Billionaires Luncheon. It was P. Diddy, Jay-Z, bunch of billionaires toasting. P. Diddy was the main one talking, and he's the main one that's opened the door to all this mess. He's the main player, and Jay-Z was right by him, standing right by him. And he was saying out of his mouth, man, we're billionaires. We got a tight group. We're going to stay tight, y'all. We got to stay tight. We're going to do this all the way, y'all. He's the main one that done sacrificed folks, in my opinion. He done put people, in my opinion. You probably say, boy, ain't you scared what you saying? No, because I got a passport, and I ain't scared because I got God. That's my passport. But when God tells me to say something, I'm going to say it. And can't nothing touch me. And if I die, I'm going to die in the Lord. And I'm going to die at his appointed time. Not before, not after. And they couldn't take DMX's life. I just want you to know that DMX, he really, really loved God to the day he died. It ain't been but 3 months after he signed the Def Jam, and his life is gone. And just a few days ago, he ain't had the funeral long, and they're talking about the new album, when it's coming out. These people in this world are so money hungry, and anything they can use us for to get more money and greed, they'll do it. They'll use black folks to be their puppets. Cardi B, Nicki Minaj. Matter of fact, Nicki Minaj, bless her heart, Her dad was killed in a car accident, a hit and run car accident. Y'all pray for her. Pray for Cardi B. When she first became famous, she had one video out and she said, "Fame ain't what you want. I wish I had never become this." I haven't seen that video since that day, and I've been looking for it. She didn't want it. She didn't want it all. But once you start tasting that fruit and enjoying that fruit, enjoying that life, you know it comes with those open doors, other lustful spirits. They come and they take over. And God gives you over to that reprobate mind to do those things that are not convenient. That's in the book of, I think, Romans. You read about it. And you'll do all kind of things with your body that you never think that you would have done. But you got to have some kind of boundaries, guys. God bless you. I'm glad you guys got a chance to get on. I hope you get a chance to go to the YouTube channel to watch this video again so you'll be able to hear it again. And it was meant for who it was meant for. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Take care. Love y'all. I wasn't even going to put it on Facebook, but oh well, it's here.